Next up, we have PlayerData.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. My name is Jess Brodsky. I am the Chief Commercial Officer here at PlayerData, and thanks so much for the opportunity to speak to you today about our company. I'm going to start from the beginning. This is Roy. He's our CEO and co-founder. He's super bummed, has a ton of FOMO that he's not here today, but his story is really the backbone of our company, so I'm going to try to do it justice. Roy was, or is, he was an engineer. He never played a sport in his entire life, never even stepped foot on a field, never had a coach, never trained. And he went to university at the University of Edinburgh and started shooting archery. And he fell in love with the sport and realized he was super competitive. So he wanted to be the best athlete he could be, but he had no resources, no money. He was a university student, never trained, no coach, no technology. So he did what anybody would do. He went to a store, he bought off-the-shelf electronics, he built a motion capture suit, built complex algorithms that analyzed the best archers in the world and analyzed the way his body performs under pressure, and built himself a suit that engineered his body to shoot a bow. Within 18 months, he went from in a basement, developing code, never playing a sport really in his life, to representing Thailand and Scotland in multiple international caps, and on path to be in the 2016 Rio Olympics. And along that journey, he realized two things. One, there are so many athletes just like him. They may not have the engineering experience that he does, but they have a dream of becoming the best athlete they could possibly be, and no access to resources or technology that the professionals or even kids on a different path do. And two, there's not really any money in archery. So where he lives in the UK and where we started this company, global football is the sport, and the technology was GPS. Professional teams were using this to do things like injury prevention and understand when athletes were being overtrained. Athletes were able to use this to understand how they played in a game, and it just gave them a massive advantage to learning the sport in a way that no one else could. But the technologies were big. You had to drag them across the airport, turn on everyone to play. Afterwards, you had to go back to your desk, plug them into a computer, a specialized computer, name it. It goes 20 minutes to 3 hours to download the data, pops out in this massive spreadsheet that you need a team of sports scientists to analyze, and then it makes it back to the coaches and players in some way. You need resources for that in terms of people, but it's also like 30 grand or more to use this. It's totally inaccessible to the masses. So Roy and our executive team set out to build PlayerData and make elite level data accessible to everybody. We make a GPS system that's easy to use. It's about this big, which I'll talk about in a minute, and you just show up to the field and you just use it, and data comes with minimal effort. It's easy to interpret. You don't need a sports scientist to figure out how to get the most out of it, and it's affordable. So here's how it works. This is our system. It all fits in this case. It's about 2.9 pounds, said the lady at the airport bag check when I was weighing it on the way here. You turn it on, one button turns on every unit, you play, and instantly all of our data uploads directly to the cloud, so athletes, parents, coaches, organizations get access to it within minutes, wherever they can send a text message from. That could be the side of the field, the bus. No more going back to your office or being anywhere specific to get access to data. Then we cut it into really beautiful charts that anyone could read. They do things just like at the pro level, show workload and how different athletes are performing in different spaces, how they can monitor and make sure they're not overtraining. But we also built a ton of things just for grassroots athletes, like position maps so they can see exactly where they are on the field. A good story here is you're always telling, I don't know if anyone in here is a coach, but you're always telling kids, maybe you're too far on the inside in the formation. Our app actually shows you the average position of a player on the field, so they can pop open their app and they can see right away where they are and how they can get better. And we do it all for $16 a month. That's a third of the price than any of our FIFA quality competitors. This recipe has made us really successful. We've doubled our business every year for the past 2 years and grown from 0 to 1,000 teams really fast with just one sales guy who sits on a couch and takes inbound leads. Recently, this past year, we did about 280% growth. And because of our scale and ease of use, we actually decided to come to the US market, and in August launched our US business. What we found from coming to the US is it's not just the grassroots and youth teams that use PlayerData. Our first customer, for example, was Atlanta United, and they were using 60 units of a competitor. For the same price, they were able to use 250 PlayerData units, kit out their entire youth pathway, U12, all the way up, with saving money and with one person. They did not have to hire another sports scientist to run that system. And our growth in the US has been just as exponential. In 6 months, we've captured 25% of MLS academies, and we're on track to triple our business with our US growth this year. The truth is, we have a great GPS business, and at the end of the day, what's different about PlayerData is we're all kind of like Roy. We're outsiders who have a passion for innovation and scalable technology. And what that means is we come at problems differently. And through our GPS business, we've proved that we can take super innovative, cutting-edge technologies and scale them to the masses in a profitable way. But when we came to start this business, we never did it just for GPS. We wanted to give athletes the same opportunities across the spectrum of the player development pathway. So in 2024, we're changing the industry. Every quarter this year, we'll launch a patentable product that will push the boundaries of what every grassroots athlete has ever been able to do. By the end of 2024, every grassroots athlete will have access to the same data that a Premier League player does for $30 or less a month. Our growth in the UK has attracted massive partners who want to work together with us to capture and provide opportunities in this market and accelerate our business faster than ever before. And the way that we've built our system and with the segment that we've focused on, we have a collection of data where we can start to do things that I'm sure a lot of the folks in this room have always dreamed about. We can do things like research across populations and look at biobanding. And because our system's built all in the cloud instantly and our relationship with players, we can do all of that today. I'm going to finish here with probably our favorite chart at PlayerData. This is a map of the UK. It's every field that we've collected data on. That's 70% of fields in the UK. I'm pretty sure, unless you're from the UK, you've probably never played on any of these or visited any of these. But we're extremely proud of that. Our whole goal here is to innovate for the 99%. Figure out how to build products that everybody can use and bring cutting-edge technology to the masses. So we're really excited today to talk to you about the business. And if you're fascinated by the grassroots market, definitely come give us a shout.
Nice job. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you're differentiated in this space. Obviously, bringing down the cost of these systems is fantastic. Is there anything proprietary in the technology? Is this just about an execution? We would expect price to come down for these systems over time, and so just love to hear from you a little bit about how you think about that.
Yeah, the truth is the systems have been in the market for about 10 years, and their elite products have never really changed in price. Their strategy has been to take the premier products and try to push them down into grassroots. But the challenge is they've never solved the ease of use problems. I would say the majority of our differentiation comes in ease of use. So for example, one of our customers texted me the other day, and he just came on board, and he said for the first time, he got to go home on a Monday and not spend 8 hours sifting through data. That was a pro-level client. The difference at PlayerData is our engineering and our innovation, and so we've kind of engineered a better way to get data from the device and directly to the cloud, so we can do it a lot faster and a lot less manually. There are parts of that we're working on patenting right now, but really it's the roadmap this year where we're going to add on 4 new patent products that will kind of build the suite all around.
Can you give us any insight as to the types of things that you're working on for 2024?
I mean, totally. And I'll do it like with understanding there's probably competitors in the room, but we're really confident that we're probably one of the only companies that can build a lot of this stuff at that price range. But it's like, if you think about the Premier League, they have access to everything, game context, how fast a shot is, left foot, right foot, whatever they might be doing. and they can use all of that to kind of bring together how they put their field strategy, and that's just in soccer. We'll not only bring that to soccer, but we'll bring it to all of the other field sports and indoor sports for under $30 a month. Yeah, of course, thank you.
So can you talk a little bit more about the revenue model? You talked $16 a month and then $30 a month, and is that for a subscription, or is that for the hardware as well, or how does that work?
Yeah, the way that it works is it's $16 a month for everything. In that subscription is the hardware. We also provide 24/7 support to all of our customers. Our whole philosophy is that a 12-year-old team in Cherry Hill is just as important to us as Atlanta United, so they get the same support all the way through. And that typically our customer lifetime right now is somewhere between 2 to 3 years. Over that time, we make some, depending on the country, in the UK, it's like 80 to 90% margin. In the US, it's like 100 to 120% margin over that 2-year time.
And there's a minimum subscription sign up when you first buy. Is it a year, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's typically a 1-year contract. 98% of our customers are 1-year contracts. A lot of our competitors have tried to get into this space by signing multi-year deals, and we fundamentally haven't had to do that because our product is so much better and we're constantly innovating. We're offering new things. We're giving people a lot of service that people are just staying on. And the truth is, technology isn't, like this technology, as you mentioned, is changing every year. And so we want that freedom to be able to launch new things, if that makes sense.
So can you talk a little bit more about what metrics are captured and then delivered? It's obviously location, any biometrics, what else comes into that? And then on that, the fields, does each field have to be mapped prior to use, or does it figure that out on its own?
Yeah, you're unveiling some of our product roadmap, come on. But no, so second question, the fields have to be mapped. It's set up, you kind of like, for a game, somebody can map fields right through Google Images. It's quite easy. Automatic field detection is something that we're launching probably this quarter because we see it's a challenge for our grassroots customers. But yeah, and the first question, remind me, was?
What other metrics other than just location?
Yeah, so we collect all the same metrics as our competitors, distance, we have the highest quality GPS. The reason we're able to do our hardware cheaper is because when our competitors build a lot of their products and their software, there's this connection between hardware and software, and they built it a while ago. Technology's changed significantly, and we buy our parts instead of in the hundreds and the tens of thousands and millions. So when we make an order, it's very easy to switch certain things. So we have the same elite GPS on it. We also have an IMU, which records impacts, things like that. We don't have heart rate today. We'll have it by the end of this year. The reason we don't have it is a good heart rate sensor with true accuracy is super expensive. And we haven't found an innovative way yet to bring that to the masses where we're not going to have to charge them, what could be double our unit price. So it kind of breaks the model. We're very selective about quality when we launch things because of the cross-section that we work in. A lot of people don't have the sports science education. And so we're like, very much, we test things, almost over-test things before we launch them, because if they're using it to action on data, we want to make sure we're giving them accurate data.
I think you may actually have answered my second question, which was exactly that. When you go down grade in the teams, how much knowledge does the actual coach need to understand understand the data? That was question number one, and I think you may actually just have answered that.
Yep.
The other question is, does the unit automatically understand which sport is being played and or who the individual players are? In other words, if the same team is using a product 3 weeks in a row on different fields, does it actually understand which player is what, so you can actually transfer individual players, or do you only see, so to speak, the team level data?
You can, all the individual players see all their individual metrics instantly versus the team average. That's a principle we've set on because we don't want athletes to compare to each other at the youth space. And it does automatically. So after you set your first session, it basically automatically can tell which player goes to which one every time unless you swap a player. Another differentiator for PlayerData is in order to share units with some other systems, you actually have to go in and reconfigure them. With PlayerData, you can just pop open your phone, change an initial, and that's it. And so a lot of the reason we're successful in this market is, I just signed a club yesterday, and they have over 400 athletes, and they're using 100 units between the 400 athletes. So now the cost per athlete is going down to $4 per month. And you can imagine as a parent on the sideline, I'm not sure how many people in here are parents of athletes, but being able to watch your kid and talk about top speed, and like, you always come off the field and they're like, oh, it went so well, and you're like, oh, and here's the 4 pieces of feedback I have for you, but now you guys have something tangible to sit down and talk over. There's almost like less fights. That's also true for our club programs too. We have a couple seconds here. Any other questions or?
Actually, I have one more quick question. So the competition here, if you have you ever lost a customer? And if so, why did you lose him?
Yeah, in our customer base, when we're demoing against competitors, we have almost a 92% demo to conversion rate. That 8% typically is people that have a first team, and we're not like, we really don't want to serve first teams. We're really focused on the grassroots. When we lose a customer, it's mostly because we don't actually compete as much against other GPS. Not a lot of people care as much about this grassroots space as we do. We compete against things like facilities or lights or stuff like that. But our retention right now is we only have a 3% churn, so it's quite high. And I think that's because, to your point earlier, we've made the data really easy to understand so everybody can get insights, and we've constantly pushed more and more as we've learned more and more from our customers to make it as good as possible. Like, kids can screenshot in the app and share it to Instagram and brag about their stats if they want. Teams can do the same, so on and so forth. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity today. I really appreciate it. And come find me if you have any questions.